Hey guys, hi again, and welcome back to another episode of Crypto Scoop FM. Are we in an all season? Are we not in an all season? If you are scratching your head like me, trying to figure out if we really are in an all season, then this episode is for you. Welcome back to another episode of Crypto Scoop FM. If you're new here or joining me for the first time, I am Rohit, aka DJNRSC. I've been in crypto for the last 4 years, held multiple executive roles across companies like Polygon Labs, Longhash Ventures, and Socket Technologies, where I had a front row seat looking at all of the innovation that is happening in the space. Now I make these videos to educate not just you guys, but also myself about what's really happening in the markets, stay up ahead in the curve, and just enjoy doing it. Before I dive into the video, nothing that I'm telling you here is investment advice, life advice, or even legal advice. So if you're going to make a financial decision based on anything that you listen on this video, that's all on you. All right, now that we have the disclaimer out of the way, I'm going to start and let's friggin' go. All right, guys. So I've... it's a difficult question to answer if we are really in an all season or not, because things go from, extreme fear to extreme greed to euphoria so quickly that it's very hard for anybody to predict. So I'm not here, I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know everything. I don't, and that is the truth. So I'm going to start... I'm actually made a presentation. I don't know why I did that, but I wanted to. And the title is, tada, When All Season, guys. So When All Season. Wow, what a creative name. And of course, how can we not answer the question of when all season without looking at the Altcoin Season Index? And you can already see the Altcoin Season Index is 49. So spoiler alert, we are not in an all season according to the All Season Index. Very nice. Is that good information, bad information? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. But if you look at the graph all the way going back to 2018, the top line right here shows you exactly where we usually are when we are in an all season, which is above 75, and when we are in a Bitcoin season, which is below 25. And right now we're somewhere in the middle. So we're neither in an all season, we're neither in a Bitcoin season. This is a phase where Bitcoin will probably go up and so will altcoins. And that's exactly what we are seeing play out in the market, right? Fear and greed, another very interesting indicator. Now, remember guys, all season index, fear and greed, all they ever tell you is human behavior, right? How are people thinking? How are they feeling? Because a large part of how prices dictate in the market, how they move, how their valuations move, have a lot to do with how people catch up to a narrative wave. And it's very clear to me, if we look at when we are in a typical quote unquote all season, this happened in March of 2024. We were in like euphoria phase, we were in extreme greed. This happened in, on December 24, late last year. And we saw that happen again. And this time we're like not even close. We're at 70 right now. So again, fear and greed index definitely tells me we're not in an all season. The altcoin season index tells me we're not in an all season. So where are we? Are we moving to an all season? Are we not moving to an all season? Is this just a fake out and will everything just revert back to the mean and we'll see Bitcoin rise again and blah, blah, blah. Let's find out. Now, earlier today, I received an email from Glassdoor and the title just got me in, where Glassdoor said, are we looking at a froth or do we have any confirmation or even early signals that we can look at from on-chain data that tells us that yes, maybe we are at the beginning of a new all season. And they said they call it the alt season indicator, and it's currently flickering for them. The way they measure this is by 3 points. One is BTC and ETH consistently absorbing capital inflows on chain, right? So I'll show you a few charts which shows that capital is indeed being absorbed by BTC and ETH. And even if we don't look at the chart, the specific charts that I'm going to show you right now, just looking at the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's very clear. Bitcoin is hovering somewhere around 118, ETH is hovering somewhere around 3600, 3700, 3800. So we're clearly seeing a lot of capital that is coming on chain is being absorbed by these two OG cryptocurrencies. The second point is stablecoin supply is increasing on chain, right? So there's more dry powder, there is more free money available to deploy and for investors to go down the risk curve. I don't know if you're catching up to all the news around Genius Act, but Genius Act essentially legitimizes stablecoins in the US. You will very, very soon see a lot of banks start jumping into this bandwagon wanting to create their own stablecoins. In fact, one of the biggest narratives that's going out there right now is that Ethereum is going to be the stablecoin chain, and you will have, which is why you have a very large crypto companies now setting up what is known as crypto treasury companies, a la MicroStrategy, and trying to recreate, the success of MicroStrategy. So we're clearly seeing an uptick in terms of stablecoin supply on chain. And finally, you have the altcoin market cap, which should show an upward momentum. And there should be a golden cross between the 7 and 30-day moving averages. So let's see where we are on this, right? So first is the BTC price, right, trending up. You have the altcoin, cap for the 7-day and the 30-day, the combined altcoin cap, creating a little cross here. And it has created these crosses previously as well, which are all pointing to a increase in the market cap of altcoins, right? So this is the first indicator which has kind of flickered and so gives us some evidence that yes, while we're not yet in a full-blown alt season just yet, but we are getting there, right? Now, this one was also interesting, which is price performance of all of the different, subsectors in crypto as against BTC. And we can already see that almost every sector, whether it's artificial intelligence or decentralized finance or decentralized physical infra networks, exchange tokens, gaming, layer 1, layer 2, meme coins, NFTs, tokenized assets, whatever, infra tokens, all of them have combined outperformed Bitcoin in the last 7 days. So this is a necessary but not the only condition relevant for us to make a conclusion that we're in all season, but definitely this shows us that market momentum is going more risk on. People are willing to take more capital and move down the risk curve from Bitcoin to Ethereum, from Ethereum to other alts, right? Another interesting data point is the altcoin market cap 14-day change. And we are now seeing the altcoin market cap has increased by $216 billion in the last 2 weeks, guys. And the last time this happened, if you go look at the chart, if you go backwards, you will see this happened in around October to December 2024 when it reached almost $250 billion. And this is when we saw that crazy rally in altcoins and mostly AI coins and meme coins as well. Before that, it happened around February and March, which is when we first saw Tau going to 600, 700 or something like that. And if then the last time this has happened was way back in the 2021 cycle, right? So we're right here. We're testing these levels yet. We haven't really crossed it. But again, giving us an indicator that we are seeing more and more capital, more and more risk on capital moving down the risk curve. Yes. So does that mean we are in an alt season? I think not. And in this section, I will tell you why. Because I think for a true alt season to happen, Ethereum has to outperform Bitcoin, and it has to outperform Bitcoin by a mile. And has that happened? No, because we haven't even achieved the all-time high of Ethereum. And so I feel like we still have a lot of things, a lot of time before we're going to see those crazy rallies. And in the next couple of slides, I'll tell you exactly why I think so, right? The first is the total altcoin combined open interest. This is an indicator of how much leverage traders are taking on to bet in, to go further down the risk curve and take leveraged long bets. And you can already see this number has increased from 25 billion just from last month to almost $45 billion now in July, right? So we're looking at a almost like a 2x increase in open interest exposures. And what you need to note from this graphic is that Ethereum is basically dominates when it comes to the open interest, right? You have an increase in Solana open interest. Yes, you have an increase in, and actually a pretty good increase in XRP open interest. Also a little bit in Doge. But if you go back, you will see that yes, for Solana and XRP is definitely elevated, but it's nowhere close to Doge. And also the dominance of Ethereum is just, it's just next level right now, right? So there's a lot of leverage being taken, but a lot of it is being taken for Ethereum. Next is the BTC and ETH open interest dominance. After, almost 2 years, we're seeing the largest ETH perpetual open interest dominance, right? It's now close to 40% versus, which is basically the same level which we saw last in April 2023. And if you go further back, right, in September and December 22, otherwise it's just totally been a BTC dominated perpetuals market for the longest time. Also, the volume flip, right? This is the first time since 2022, guys, right? So almost 3 years from the cycle low of 2022 that we are seeing ETH perpetual volumes flip Bitcoin. And this is again a positive signal for Ethereum momentum, because Ethereum must be in strong momentum, must flip Bitcoin, and must have this kind of open long leverage positions, open interest increase, perpetual volume dominance, for us to have the confirmation that yes, we are in an alt cycle. And this is again a good signal, but mostly for ETH is doing really well. And so, it's really crazy. It's right now at 60% of the perpetual volume dominance is just all Ethereum, which is great to see. Now, what is driving all of this interest on Ethereum is the strategic ETH reserve. If you're not living under a rock, you probably know that Joseph Lubin, who's the founder of Consensus and the ex co-founder of Ethereum, and Tom Lee, who was the CIO who still is the CIO at Fundstrat, which is a Wall Street investment firm. They have now created a new investment vehicle which is listed on the NASDAQ, which are basically two separate companies. One is called Sharpling Gaming. Its ticker symbol is SBET. And another one is Bitmine, which was basically, by the way, a Bitcoin mining company, which sold all of its Bitcoin to buy Ethereum. Now, don't ask me why they did that, but now they are on the race. They're in this race to become the next MicroStrategy. And they've already accumulated in the last 90 days, as you can see on this chart, a massive increase in Ethereum reserves, right? So they're basically buying all the Ethereum they can lay their hands on and trying to become the next MicroStrategy. And in the last 90 days, this number is up to 80x. So basically it has gone up from $20 million odd to almost 300x of 20 million, 6 billion odd, or even more in terms of market capital of ETH that they have bought and acquired in the market. So this rally right now that you see is not a retail rally. It's not a rally like we've seen before. This is largely driven by this massive institutional interest coming to Ethereum, right? So something to note, because I feel institutions will think about Ethereum or think about cryptocurrencies in a very different way, how retail does. And so they would probably be even long term holders of this asset, like we've seen. MicroStrategy hold Bitcoin for the longest time. He's the ultimate bull. Now, I was watching this little video, and I'm going to show you a clip. But basically, they were discussing, why are boomers suddenly interested in Ethereum, and they say they unpacked Fundstrat, which is Tom Lee's investment firm, and their ETH marketing playbook. So Tom Lee goes to CNBC. Boomers follow CNBC. Boomers have all the money, unfortunately. Tom explains as stablecoins grow, so will ETH. So they already are very interested in stablecoins, guys. Why? Genius Act has been passed. It has been signed into a law by President Trump. And they have seen the success of the Circle IPO. And if I don't know if you've seen the chart, it just went berserk for the longest time before retracing back or distribution. It entered into a distribution phase, and so because of this, attention to ETH is increasing. More and more people are interested to buy ETH, hold ETH, create more ETH Treasury companies, and basically creating a cycle, right? Let's actually go and listen to these people, because I think that what they were saying was actually very interesting. So I'm going to share this window. I hope you will be able to listen to this, but I'm going to play this video now for you guys, right?
Biggest lesson I've taken away is like narrative follows price, just not the other way around at all. Because like nothing material has changed. It feels like, maybe there were a bunch of small things that added up, like the EF kind of like going war mode, appointing Tomash, the stablecoin stuff, like becoming much more visibly like loved in the public markets with like Circle and ETH kind of like leading the issuance there. And then this Tom Lee ETH strategy, Joe Lubin stuff. But yeah, each individual thing I'm not sure really moved the needle, but then in all it's kind of snowballed into momentum. I'm curious for you guys, like, who do you think is like the marginal buyer of all this stuff? Like, who is like this narrative even aimed at is like kind of what I'm confused by.
Like Treasury strategies in general.
Well, yeah, or like with all this ETH stuff, is Tom, like people are memeing like, oh, Tom Lee like changed.
I actually think it's as simple as going on CNBC multiple times and repeating the same narrative that is legible to Wall Street and Wall Street adjacent people, i.e.
Agreed, yeah.
You think people just watch CNBC and then ape in?
All the boomers have all the money and they watch CNBC.
So I'm gonna pause, and I hope the video got the audio, but if it didn't, these folks are basically talking about how boomers watch CNBC, and Tom Lee is out there evangelizing ETH with a very simple narrative that ETH is going to be the home for stablecoins. And that's basically, surprising all of these people, because these folks are crypto natives. Nick White is the founder of Celestia. Uma is working on Succinct. Jill is part of Espresso. So all of these folks are, extremely crypto native. You can already see most of them are like millennials, and it's very hard for them. You can look Uma's face. I mean, I've never seen somebody be so surprised about the fact that boomers actually have money and they buy. They do, Uma. They do buy our coins. So this was kind of fun. I love watching it. So okay. Anyways, coming back. ETH ETF inflows again, $8.3 billion of total inflows in July, guys, and you can see how much money has moved day by day. 16th July onwards, we've seen this momentum build up where $700 million of net ETF inflows for Ethereum, increased to 600, then 400, then 296, then 500 million. So still going, $500,000, which is really great to see in terms of the momentum that it is building in the market, right? Now, people are talking about dominance, but the chart that I'm really interested to look at and keep track on is ETHBTC, and it is creating these higher highs and higher lows. And as long as it stays above 0.24, I am fairly confident that Ethereum will remain attractive and people will, it might enter into an accumulation phase here, which is okay. And so long as it remains above this level, I'm fairly certain that Ethereum will do its leg up, right? But it's not going to be immediate. We might see some pullback. We might see a little more accumulation before that move happens. Now, so the question is, where are we? Where are we in this cycle? We've definitely passed phase one, because money did go into Bitcoin and Bitcoin went to 120K. It broke the 110K. It also touched a new all-time high. I think it was 120 something or 123. I don't remember the exact number, but definitely crossed 120. And then what happens is, from phase one into phase two, there is an overlap where money starts to flow into Ethereum, but Ethereum still struggles to keep up with Bitcoin. Right? It goes back and forth with Bitcoin and then eventually starts to outperform Bitcoin. And if you go look at CoinGecko, which is what I was doing, it has indeed outperformed Ethereum in the last 30 days, right? Even in the last 7 days, Bitcoin is down 1%, while Ethereum is up 11%. So we're clearly in this phase where Bitcoin has outperformed Ethereum, but are we in phase three, where Ethereum has been outperformed by and large cap, basically Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin and large caps are going parabolic? I don't think we are there quite yet, and I'll show you the data to prove that. But I think money is indeed, whether we're in an overlap phase, right? Money is starting to trickle down into large caps, and we're seeing some of them. We see some buy-ups happening. We see a little bit of momentum, because what shows this up? Right, if you look at in the last 30-day data, right? So Ethereum is up 59%, XRP is up 62%. So XRP has delivered more returns, but BNB is still below Ethereum. Solana is still below Ethereum on a 90-day basis. Dogecoin is still below Ethereum. Right? I'm sorry, Dogecoin has actually performed better than Ethereum, which is great. Cardano is still lagging. Tron is still lagging. Hyperliquid, the new kid on the block, is nowhere close. Right, Stellar has actually outperformed on the back of the whole, ISO 2022, some kind of an announcement. Sui is still not performing, is still below ETH. Chainlink is still below ETH. Hedera has outperformed ETH. So you can already see many of these OG coins like Avalanche hasn't outperformed ETH. You have Sheep, one of the big meme coins after Doge, hasn't outperformed. Ton hasn't outperformed. So I'm going down the risk curve. You can already see there are very few tokens which have started to do a price performance which is better than Ethereum itself. Right? So it's very clear to me that large caps have not started going parabolic. And what proof do I have that they will go parabolic? Because I know we always say this cycle is different. But I got news for you. I don't think the cycle is different in the way that you're thinking the cycle is different. Like, when I say the cycle is the same, what I'm saying is it will follow pretty much the same pattern that we've seen before, right? So from 13 to 17, then 17 to 21, and then from 21 to 25. So if we follow this chart, we're going to see the next leg up and a cycle top somewhere in November or December, which is by the way coinciding with at least 2 rate cuts, maybe the whole tariff news behind us. I was reading earlier today that America has also signed a tariff deal with Japan, which is solid news, right? Because once that tariff crap is behind us, once we have a rate cut, I know there is this war happening between Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, and President Trump. But I think this will eventually be resolved, where they're going to look at the market data, they're going to look at unemployment rate going down, inflation easing off, and would probably decide to do a rate cut, because these yields are totally unsustainable. Like 5% is crazy. So Donald Trump is demanding at least a 3 percentage point cut. I don't know if we'll get there. But until we have those rate cuts, guys, we're not seeing the next leg up on liquidity. That's for sure. So yes, we are not in an alt cycle. That's the conclusion of this video. Now, am I a soothsayer? How confident am I if something like this is going to happen? I think I have a fairly strong degree of confidence with everything that I've just seen, everything that I just studied, that now is not the time to, go panic buy or panic sell. Don't do any of those things. So what do? How do we take all of this data and what decisions do we make? The first decision, do not FOMO. Right? Because if you FOMO, you're going to crack yourself up, right? So we're right now, as I was saying, in phase 2. And I think we're going to follow this 4-year cycle and we're going to see the cycle top in December and November. December. We are not in an all season because there are no rate cuts yet. We don't have that kind of liquidity to push the prices up and bring more liquidity, which is necessary for money to flow down the risk curve, right? So my first advice to you is do not FOMO. And what I want to say next is that now is the time to keep track of, because what's going to be different from 2021 is the fact that in 2021, we had nowhere the number of coins that exist in the market today, right? So the buyer has choices. And so where is that money going to go? The second thing you need to understand is, ask yourself the question, who is going to lead this rally? In 2021, we did not have any institutional approval. We didn't have a genius coin, a genius act. We are going to have a market structure bill very soon. The clarity bill is going to be discussed and would probably be signed into an act very soon. So when those things come, institutional money is going to flow in. When rate cuts happen, more capital will be available for these people to deploy. They will probably start their own ETH Treasury companies. Things will happen. And yeah, I was reading a bunch of different tweets as well. Yeah, this one. So one big trend that's going to happen is treasury vehicles, right? So we already saw what happened with the success of MicroStrategy. Now you have Tom Lee starting Bitmine. You have Joseph Lubin getting into Sharpling Gaming, and you also have treasury companies being set up for BNB, for Solana, for Hype, for WIF, which is a meme coin, for Tau, which is one of my favorite coins, and for LTC. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that you will see. You can already see here the news. Publicly traded Nano Labs buys another 45,000 BNB worth $34 million, right? So you have treasury companies now buying our tokens, and when that happens, you already know where the capital is coming on and where it's going to go next, right? So use these points as signals for where capital and liquidity will go, because for prices to go up, you need demand and supply, and demand is coming from these companies and demand is coming for these narratives. So be very, very careful. Be very careful about how you choose. We have a lot of options, and making the right choices is what differentiates this cycle from the next. I want to leave you with this graphic that if you hold 0.1 Bitcoin, you are guaranteed to be in the top 2.6% in the world globally, because there are only 21 million coins. Now, 4 million of them have been lost forever. So if you subtract that, only 4.5 million addresses hold more than 0.1 BTC. That's you're in the top 0.56% of the world, or ahead of 99.4% of people in the world. Let that sink in. I mean, it blows my mind thinking about how early we really are. Okay, guys, so that was it. That was all I had to discuss with you today. I don't know if we are really in an all season, or this is this is something different or whatever. But I think the more I think about it, it's different this time. The more I feel it's pretty much the same. I think we're moving into that 4-year cycle. until we see the rate cuts, we're not going to see liquidity. We have a lot of tokens. You got to make your choices. You are seeing a president in the White House who is extremely pro crypto. His sons run a crypto company. His own company has just announced the acquisition of $2 billion of Bitcoin. They've passed all of the necessary bills to make crypto mainstream in the US. Coinbase is just launching perpetuals in the US. And there are just too many things which are happening, which gives us so much confidence that a lot of cool things are going to happen in the market. All right, this was rather a long video. I wanted to make it short, but apparently not. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, share with me, your thoughts about the alt season. What do you think? Are we in an alt season or not? What are the other indicators that I should have looked at or I am not looking at? And how are you playing the alt cycle, guys? If you want to follow me, talk to me, then feel free to follow me on Twitter at @DGenRSC. That's DEGENRSC. Until next time, I'll see you again. Sayonara.